Please no. Stop. Yoloma's scream cut through the hotel hallway like a knife. Seo Jae-sung crushed his cigarette into the crystal ashtray, jaw clenched. The noise pierced through his bedroom wall again, a woman's desperate cry, raw and terrified. He'd been sitting in darkness for the past hour, mind circling the disaster that had cost him millions. His smuggling container seized. His reputation questioned. His rivals emboldened. And now this interruption. Another scream. Jae-sung shot to his feet. The luxury hotel was supposed to be a sanctuary, the VIP floor his territory. Nobody disturbed him here. Nobody. He stormed into the hallway, following the sounds to the room next door. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, he saw her, a black woman with her back pressed against the headboard, dress torn at the shoulder, face wet with tears. A man loomed over her, drunk and aggressive, grabbing at her wrists. I said stop fighting. Park Sang-woo slurred, his expensive shirt half unbuttoned, eyes glazed with alcohol and something darker. Yoloma kicked at him, but Sang-woo caught her ankle. You came here with me. You don't get to say no now. Jae-sung's blood turned cold, then hot. He crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbed Sang-woo by the collar, and yanked him backward. Sang-woo hit the floor hard, the impact knocking the air from his lungs. What the Sang-woo's protest died when he looked up and saw who was standing over him. Jae-sung didn't speak. He drove his fist into Sang-woo's jaw, then his ribs, each punch precise and brutal. Sang-woo curled into himself, groaning, blood trickling from his split lip. Get out, Jae-sung said quietly. The calm in his voice made it more terrifying than any shout. Sang-woo scrambled to his feet, stumbling toward the door. He paused at the threshold, shooting Yoloma a look of pure venom before disappearing into the hallway. Yoloma sat frozen on the bed, her whole body trembling. Jae-sung turned to her, and something in his expression softened. He shrugged off his suit jacket and approached slowly, like she was a wounded animal that might bolt. You're safe now, he said, draping the jacket over her shoulders. That's when he saw it. The jacket had slipped slightly, revealing her neck and shoulder. There, just below her collarbone, was a birthmark, a small, distinctive shape like a crescent moon. Jae-sung's hand froze mid-motion. His breath caught. He knew that birthmark. 3 months ago, he'd been running through the dark streets of Seoul, assassins on his trail. A business deal gone wrong, a betrayal he hadn't seen coming. They'd cornered him in an alley near a row of small shops. He was armed, but outnumbered. The end had seemed inevitable. Then a hand grabbed his. This way. Quickly. This woman, had pulled him behind a dumpster, then into a narrow passage between buildings he hadn't even noticed. She'd led him through a maze of back alleys until they reached an abandoned storage room. The assassins had run past, shouting, searching. She'd saved his life. He'd only glimpsed her face in the shadows, but he'd seen that birthmark clearly when she'd turned to check if they were being followed. He'd searched for her afterward, sent his men to comb the city, but she'd vanished like smoke. And now here she was. Hey everyone! If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps us keep bringing you these intense stories. Also, drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. New here? Welcome! Stick around till the end because this story is about to get even more intense. Yoloma's voice broke through his thoughts. Thank you. She clutched the jacket tighter around herself. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't. Don't think about it, Jae-sung said. His mind was racing. Should he tell her? Did she remember him? I'm Yoloma, she said softly, wiping her eyes. Jae-sung. She looked at him properly then, and recognition flickered across her face. Wait, have we met before? He hesitated. Perhaps. Seoul is smaller than people think. It was a lie, and he could see she didn't quite believe it. But she was too shaken to press further. He helped her to her feet, made sure she could walk, then escorted her to a taxi. As it pulled away, he memorized the license plate, already planning his next moves. He would investigate, confirm what he already suspected, and then he would decide how to repay a debt he'd thought would haunt him forever. Over the next week, Jae-sung learned everything. Yoloma worked at a small ice cream shop in Hongdae. She'd come to Korea 2 years ago from Nigeria, sent money home to her grandmother every month, lived in a modest apartment above a convenience store. She kept to herself, worked hard, and had promised her grandmother, the woman who raised her, that she would remain pure until marriage. Conservative, principled, brave. She was exactly who he'd thought she was. The confirmation came through his second-in-command on a Tuesday afternoon. Jae-sung sat in his office, the files spread before him, and felt something unfamiliar stir in his chest. Not guilt, he was past guilt. Not obligation either. Something else. Something that felt dangerously close to protectiveness. He started visiting her shop. The first time, he ordered vanilla. Yoloma served him with professional courtesy, no recognition in her eyes. He sat by the window, watching her work, making sure nobody bothered her. The second time, she smiled at him. Vanilla again? It's simple, he said. I like simple. The third time, she laughed at something a coworker said, and the sound lodged itself somewhere in his ribs. The fourth time, she frowned at him. Are you following me? Jae-sung set down his cup. Would it bother you if I was? Yes. Maybe. I don't know. She crossed her arms. Why are you always here? The ice cream is good. There are 50 ice cream shops in this neighborhood. None with better service. She studied him, trying to puzzle him out. He could see her mind working, see the questions forming. But before she could ask them, her shift ended, and she disappeared into the back room. He waited outside that night. Not close enough to alarm her, but close enough to make sure she got home safely. His instincts were proving correct. Park Sang-woo was the vengeful type. And if Jae-sung's sources were right, Sang-woo had already started asking questions about the man who'd humiliated him. Dangerous questions. Jae-sung made a call. I need everything on Park Sang-woo and his family. Everything. The information came back within 48 hours, and it was worse than he'd imagined. Park Sang-woo wasn't just some politician's spoiled son. His father, Park Dong-chul, was the rival who'd sabotaged Jae-sung's smuggling operation. Dong-chul played the public role of reformist politician while running a shadow empire that competed directly with Jae-sung's organization. And Sang-woo himself? A drug addict. A dealer. A man with a history of violence against women, all of it buried under his father's money and influence. Jae-sung's hands curled into fists. Yoloma had unknowingly walked into the middle of a war, and she didn't even know the battlefield existed. The confrontation came on a Thursday evening. Yoloma locked the shop door behind her, exhaustion pulling at her shoulders. The day had been long, customers endless, and her feet ached. She just wanted to get home, call her grandmother, maybe watch something mindless on her phone before sleep. She didn't notice Jae-sung across the street until she was halfway down the block. Why are you doing this? She demanded, spinning to face him. Why are you stalking me? He stepped out of the shadows, hands in his pockets. I'm protecting you. From what? From Park Sang-woo. The name made her flinch. She hadn't seen Sang-woo since that night, hadn't heard from him. She'd hoped he'd simply disappeared, forgotten about her. He's waiting for me to slip up, Jae-sung continued. He's watching you, trying to find a weakness. I won't let him hurt you again. Why? Yoloma's voice cracked. Why do you even care? You don't know me. I owe you a debt. She stared at him. A debt? When? I should be owing you. You saved me that night. No, Yoloma. I'm the one who owes you. The way he said her name, gentle, certain, made her chest tighten. She wanted to argue, to demand explanations, but something in his eyes stopped her. There was a story there, something deep and complicated. I don't understand, she whispered. You will. When the time is right. He stepped closer, and she didn't back away. For now, just trust me. Park Sang-woo is dangerous. Stay away from him. She should have felt afraid. Should have run. But standing there in the dim streetlight with this strange man who'd saved her once and now watched over her like a guardian, she felt safe. Okay, she said softly. I trust you, Jae-sung. The way his expression shifted, just barely, just enough, told her those words meant more to him than she knew. But trust, Yoloma would soon learn, wasn't enough to keep the darkness at bay. Park Sang-woo attacked 3 nights later. Yoloma was walking home, taking her usual route through the quieter streets. She liked the peace, the way the city noise faded to a distant hum. She didn't hear him until he was right behind her. You think you're too good for me? Sang-woo's voice was slurred, angry. She spun around. He looked worse than before, face gaunt, eyes bloodshot, movements jerky. The smell of alcohol hit her like a wave. Stay away from me, she said, backing up. You're with him now, aren't you? That bastard who broke my ribs. Sang-woo lurched forward. You think he's better than me? You know who my father is. I don't care who your father is. You should. He grabbed for her arm. Yoloma reacted on instinct. Everything her grandmother had taught her about defending herself, every lesson about being a woman alone in the world, came flooding back. She drove her knee up hard, catching him between the legs. Sang-woo collapsed, gasping. She ran. Her footsteps echoed off the buildings, heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. Behind her, she heard Sang-woo struggling to his feet, cursing. She turned a corner, then another, trying to lose him in the maze of streets. Then she heard a different sound, a scuffle, a cry of pain that wasn't hers. She stopped, pressed against a wall, listening. Boss Seo said I should warn you to stay away. The voice was cold, unfamiliar. If you come near her again, you won't like what he'll do to you. The sounds that followed made Yoloma's stomach turn. Fists hitting flesh, bones cracking, Sang-woo's screams. Then silence. She peered around the corner. A man in a dark suit was standing over Sang-woo's crumpled form. He looked up, met her eyes, and nodded once before disappearing into the shadows. Jae-sung's man. He'd been following her, protecting her. Yoloma walked home in a daze, mind spinning. Who was Seo Jae-sung really? What kind of power did he have that he could have someone beaten like that and walk away? And why was he using that power to protect her? Park Dong-chul learned about his son's beating within the hour. The politician sat in his office, staring at the hospital report, rage building like a storm. His son's ribs were broken, his leg damaged, his face a mass of bruises. And all because of a woman, because of Seo Jae-sung. He picked up the phone. I want everything on Seo Jae-sung. Every business, every associate, every weakness. And find out who the girl is. But when his investigators came back, the news was bad. Seo Jae-sung wasn't just any mafia boss. He was the mafia boss, the one even the government treated carefully, the one with connections that reached into every level of power. Park Dong-chul had been trying to undermine him for years, sabotaging deals, stealing territory. The smuggling container had been his greatest success. But now Jae-sung knew. And he had leverage. The photos arrived by courier the next morning. Park Dong-chul opened the envelope with shaking hands and felt his world tilt. There was his son, photographed in drug dens, selling pills on street corners. There was documentation of the assault attempt on Yoloma, security footage from the hotel. The note was simple. If you come after me, I'll destroy your image first. Stay back. Park Dong-chul stared at the evidence of his son's crimes and felt something inside him crack. Not love, he didn't love Sang-woo, not really. But pride. Legacy. Everything he'd built could crumble if this got out. He backed off. For now. The rain came on a Friday night, turning Seoul's streets into rivers of light. Yoloma was closing the shop when she saw Jae-sung waiting outside, umbrella in hand. You'll get sick walking home in this, he said. She wanted to protest, to say she'd be fine, but the truth was she was tired of being alone. Tired of being scared. Okay, she said. They walked together through the rain, umbrella sheltering them both. For a while, neither spoke. Then Jae-sung said, Tell me about Nigeria. So she did. She told him about her grandmother, the woman who'd raised her after her parents died. About the promises she'd made, the dreams she carried. About how Korea had seemed like a chance at something better, but lately felt more like a trap. You're not trapped, Jae-sung said quietly. Not anymore. Because you're protecting me? Because you're stronger than you think. She looked up at him. In the rain, with the city lights reflecting in his eyes, he looked almost vulnerable. Almost human. Not like the dangerous man she was starting to realize he must be. Who are you really, Jae-sung? Someone who owes you everything. Before she could ask what he meant, 3 men stepped out from an alley ahead. Customers from the shop, ones she'd asked to leave days ago for harassing her coworker. Hey, ice cream girl, one of them sneered. Remember us? Yoloma felt Jae-sung's posture shift beside her, felt the temperature drop despite the rain. Leave, Jae-sung said. One word, flat and final. The men looked at him, looked at each other. Something in Jae-sung's stance, in the way he held himself, made them reconsider. They left. Yoloma's hands were shaking. Thank you. Always, he said. And that's when she broke. Why? The word came out as almost a sob. Why are you really doing this? I've been so confused since that night at the hotel. What debt? When did I save you? I don't understand any of this. Jae-sung stopped walking. The rain poured around them, and in that moment, standing in the middle of an empty street with water soaking through their clothes, he told her everything. 3 months ago, Jae-sung began, I was being hunted. A deal went wrong, and assassins were sent to kill me. They cornered me in an alley near your shop. Yoloma's eyes widened. No. You grabbed my hand. You didn't know who I was, didn't ask questions. You just pulled me into a hiding place and waited until they passed. You saved my life. The memory crashed over her like a wave. That night, she'd seen a man running, seen the desperation in his face, heard the footsteps of his pursuers. She'd acted on instinct, the way her grandmother had taught her, help those in need, ask questions later. That was you, she whispered. I've been looking for you ever since. And when I saw you in that hotel room, saw that birthmark on your shoulder, I knew I'd finally found the woman who saved me. Yoloma felt tears mixing with the rain on her face. But why didn't you tell me? That first time at the shop, why didn't you say something? I needed to be sure. I needed to know you were safe, that helping me hadn't put you in danger. He looked away. And I needed to know if Park Sang-woo would come back. Men like him always do. He's dangerous, isn't he? More dangerous than just what happened that night. He's a drug addict and a dealer. His father is Park Dong-chul, a politician on the outside, a criminal on the inside. They're my enemies, Yoloma. And now that Sang-woo knows I care about you. He met her eyes. You're in danger because of me. She should have been terrified. Should have run. But instead, she stepped closer to him. I promised my grandmother I'd stay safe, she said softly. But I also promised her I'd live bravely. You've protected me, Jae-sung. Now let me choose to trust you. The look he gave her in that moment was something she'd remember forever, gratitude, wonder, and something deeper that made her heart race. Stay away from Park Sang-woo, he said. Promise me. I promise. She said it like a vow, like a prayer. Complete trust shining in her eyes. Jae-sung reached out and touched her face, just once, his thumb brushing away a raindrop. Then they walked home together through the storm, and everything changed. But Park Sang-woo, broken and bitter, made one final attempt. He showed up at the ice cream shop on a Tuesday afternoon, looking like a ghost of himself. His face was still bruised, his walk uneven from his injured leg. Yoloma saw him and felt ice in her veins. I just want ice cream, Sang-woo said, his voice rough. Just ice cream. That's all. She served him wordlessly, hands steady even though her heart was hammering. She put the cup on the counter. Don't pay. Just take it. Do you know what Seo Jae-sung really is? Sang-woo leaned forward, desperate. He's a criminal, Yoloma. A killer. My father has been trying to stop him for years. The man you're trusting is. Take the ice cream and leave the shop, Yoloma said, her voice cold as winter. Never show your face here again. He's dangerous. If you show your face to me again, she continued, meeting his eyes with steel in her gaze, I will make sure to destroy that thing between your legs for good. Do you understand me? Sangwoo stumbled backward, shock and humiliation warring on his face. Other customers were staring now. He grabbed the ice cream and fled. Yoloma stood behind the counter, victorious and shaking, transformed from the terrified woman in that hotel room into someone who could face down her nightmares. But Park Dong-chul wasn't finished. When his son came home that night, broken and babbling about the Nigerian woman who'd threatened him, something snapped in the politician's mind. He'd lost business to Seo Jae-sung, lost face, and now his own son had been humiliated by a nobody. The girl was Jae-sung's weakness. Everyone could see it. So Park Dong-chul decided to eliminate that weakness. The kidnapping happened fast. Yoloma was walking to work when a van pulled up, men grabbed her, and everything went black. She woke up in a warehouse, hands tied, head aching. Park Dong-chul stood in front of her, cold and businesslike. Nothing personal, he said. You're just in the way. But Yoloma had learned strength from Jae-sung's protection, from her grandmother's lessons, from surviving everything life had thrown at her. While Dong-chul was making calls, she worked at her bonds, remembering the self-defense moves she'd practiced, using fear as fuel instead of letting it paralyze her. The ropes loosened. She waited for her moment. When the guard turned away, she ran. Jae-sung's phone buzzed with a tracker alert while he was in a meeting with his second-in-command. The necklace he'd given Yoloma days before, the one with the hidden GPS, was moving erratically. She's running, he said, already moving. Mobilize everyone. Find her now. He made another call while speeding toward her location. Release everything on Park Sang-woo. The drugs, the assault, all of it. Burn Park Dong-chul to the ground. Within an hour, news outlets across Seoul were broadcasting the scandal. Park Sang-woo's face on every screen, his crimes exposed. Park Dong-chul's reputation crumbling like sand. The politician who'd posed as a reformer revealed as a hypocrite, his son a monster, his own criminal empire suddenly in the spotlight. Park Dong-chul was arrested before sunset. But none of that mattered when Jae-sung saw Yoloma running toward them through the industrial district, blood on her shoulder, face pale with shock. The gunshot had come from one of Dong-chul's men, a final desperate act of revenge. The bullet caught Yoloma in the shoulder, spinning her around, and she collapsed. Jae-sung caught her before she hit the ground, cradling her against his chest. Stay with me, he said, his voice breaking. Stay with me, Yoloma. Her eyes fluttered. Jae-sung, I've got you. You're safe now. She passed out in his arms. 2 weeks in the hospital. 2 weeks of surgery, recovery, unconsciousness. Jae-sung never left her side, keeping vigil like a guardian angel turned mortal. When she finally opened her eyes, he was there. Hey, he said softly. Hey, she whispered back. She recovered slowly, and he was there for every step. When she was discharged, they went home together, not to her small apartment or his luxury penthouse, but to something new they'd build together. His smuggling business recovered. The container was eventually released, his losses recouped. But sitting across from Yoloma in the quiet evening light, watching her smile at something on her phone, Jae-sung realized what he'd truly gained. Love had filled the darkness consuming him. Love gave meaning to his power, purpose to his protection. In a world of violence and betrayal, he'd found something pure. Yoloma looked up and caught him staring. What? Nothing, he said. Everything. The moral was simple, carved from pain and forged in fire. True strength isn't found in power or wealth, but in the courage to protect what matters and the wisdom to accept protection when it's freely given. Debts of kindness echo across time, and sometimes saving someone's life means they save yours in return. Darkness would always exist in their world. Threats would come. But now Jae-sung had something worth protecting, and Yuloma had found a home in the most unexpected place, in the arms of the man she'd saved without knowing how much that single act of kindness would change everything. Outside, Seoul glittered in the night, full of danger and possibility. But inside, they were safe. Together, they were home. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss our next intense story. What did you think of Yuloma and Jae-sung's journey? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. Also, thanks so much for watching till the end, and we'll see you in the next one.